The thug was using violence to check on a teenage girl's virgin. Her two classmates saw it, but they didn't try to stop him. They even excitingly filmed it with their phone. "Hey, I've recorded everything. Why did you do that? Please delete them all." Regardless of the victim's plea, she posted the video online under the excitement of her friends. The victim was completely hopeless. Her name is Shoko. She was a student. Somehow, a famous stylist named Jean noticed her. He wanted her to be his model. "I don't know why I feel that you're the same as me in the past. You want to change yourself, right? Let me help you do that." Jean gave her a makeover, turning her from a student into a star in the fashion industry. Her classmates expressed their admiration when she was on the magazine's cover, and got cast for acting. Shoko thought everything was going well. She accidentally provoked Eri, who was jealous of shy and naive Shoko. Because Eri lied that she would become an artist, Shoko's success was like a slap to Eri's face. To destroy Shoko, Eri came up with an idea. Eri thought Shoko was pretending, yet, her friends didn't think so. Only Eri's friends knew she had lied to everyone. They thought Shoko provoked Eri on purpose. Also, they were sure that Shoko sold her body for fame. Their thoughts disgusted themselves. It seemed like Shoko wasn't the cute. Did she lose her virgin? Her friend decided to help her check it out. Takashi wrote a love letter to Shoko. Shoko was so naive. She came to the fitting room as requested. It was too late when Shoko realized something wrong. "Shoko, you're so cute. You must have changed." In the dark fitting room, he sexually abused her regardless of her plea. Eri filmed it and posted it online. Shoko was depressed. She dared not to go out for days, neither answered her parents' questions. Annoyance still followed her. "Shoko, can I interview you for a moment?" The moment she was sexually abused circulated in the internet. Everyone knew this. They looked at her with covetous eyes. Eri, the one destroyed her life, wasn't sorry at all. She even asked her parents to provoke Shoko. "Shoko, please forgive them. This was just a joke. They just kidded to you. The future of my daughter and her friend depended on you. Please forgive them." "Shoko, do you hear me? Enough. I will forget all about it. Please go away." She said she would let it pass. "Come here." Takashi thanked Shoko. "We will always be friends, right? Thanks for your mercy." In the end, Shoko still chose to avoid. From then on, she never picked up Jin's calls. A famous model like Shoko was turned into an ugly girl who got a real inferiority complex. It wasn't as simple as she thought. The video even went viral on the internet. People talked about her with dirty words. Some people even publicized her address. She couldn't erase all the comments and views. The number of interaction kept increasing. Shoko fell into despair. Looking at herself in the mirror, their words seemed to attach on her body. Her best friend begged her to call the police. As Shoko was scared and shameful, she didn't listen to her friend. She wasn't aware that her action would cause a big disaster. "If I call the police, my parents will know about that." "Don't say so. Will you let the rumors spread?" "Of course not." "Then call the police. I'm so scared." When things were more complicated, Shoko finally chose to tell her parents. Her whole family was sorrowful. Jean was waiting near Shoko's home. She asked him to put a makeup on her, covering her ugly face. Jean could tell she was having a serious mental illness. Shoko felt discouraged and left as he didn't know what to do to help her. On the way home, she saw a flame from her home. She hurriedly ran home for her parents who were still in there. The flame burnt all her hopes. She got by at her grandmother's home for 10 years. At the moment she was about to take her own life, she saw someone who destroyed her life. Eri was a shining star on TV. "I wish for a more wonderful life." The flame of hatred flared up. She tried her best to struggle and cut off the rope before losing her breath. 10 years ago when Jean found Shoko and turned her into a rising star in the fashion industry, which made Eri jealous, Eri told Takashi to lure Shoko to the fitting room and sexually assaulted her. Shoko didn't dare report to the police to hide it from her parents. One day her home was in a flame. It ended her parents' life. The cause of the flame was fishy. Those who destroyed her life were happy when Shoko was miserable. "I heard that Shoko was quitting school after her parents' death. Tell me if you had nothing to do with the fire." "It wasn't me who set the fire. When I saw the article, I was also startled." "You caught me up in this, what?" "You were very excited when taking away her virginity. We did apologize to her, and she forgave us. We had nothing to do with the fire. She won't dare to call the police as she is all alone now. We can rest assured since the death of her parents, 10 years later, the culprit was having a good life. It seemed like she had never done anything wrong." Eri went on many blind dates. She wanted to change her life by getting married. "I love the seal. Are you interested?" "What are you guys talking about?" "Well, I recently bought a fishing boat as I like the sea." "Really? Look at my name, it means the sea. Would you like me?" She was blatant flirting which made him speechless. Someone was watching her in the dark. One day, it was an unwanted incident happened at Eri's blind date. She really cared about the man who ran a hospital. However, he said she was quite old though she was only 25. It was unacceptable for an arrogant woman like Eri. "What are you saying? Hey old man, how old are you? Do you know your stink? What else do you have aside from your parents' hospital? You got a job there thanks to your family. Do you think you have a choice? She made the man angry. He grabbed Ari's arm and poured wine over her. However, Ari didn't get wet. A strange girl covered it for her. The one who got wet was Shoko. It seemed ridiculous that Ari didn't realize Shoko, neither did she know karma was coming to find her. What do you want from me? I don't mean it. What else do you want? Shoko pretended to be innocent, and kept speaking highly of Ari's beauty, offering to learn from Ari during her dates. Ari was fully satisfied. She said the waitress looked like a boorish person. It was just the first step of Shoko's trap. Ari treated Shoko as her fan. They made an appointment to meet again. When Ari turned around, Shoko's eyes were full of hatred, and there was one more surprise. That girl was really mean. What a pity when she didn't get wet. Are you okay? This is your payment. Thank you. Let's grab a drink. Are you coming along? To take revenge on those who destroyed her life, she disguised herself to approach her enemies. Finally, Shoko became Ari's best friend, after 10 years of setting everybody at defiance. Ari currently was trying to marry a rich man. However, it wasn't easy for her. Moreover, her co-workers hated her when she went to work. Ari, is it true that you often get off work early and pushes all her workload onto her co-workers? Ari immediately realized that her co-workers sneaked on her. Immediately, she showed her forlorn appearance by lying to her boss that her mother was seriously ill. Indeed, she succeeded in fooling him. I'm sorry, is that so? Are your mom okay? Tell me if you need to get off early. When her manager was completely fooled, Ari grabbed a chance to ask for getting off early. Before leaving, she gave her co-workers a black look, but she didn't expect that the manager was such a righteous person. Miss Ari, are you still okay? To ease Ari's mind at work, the manager promised to handle those who isolated her. He also invited her to the party organized by the head of company. She agreed to join. Then she told Shoko, I'd rather go on a blind date. Shoko really minded that and tried to persuade Ari. There must be many rich people at the party. Maybe you'll find a good match there. Ari was convinced without knowing it was Shoko's plan. Cheered up by Shoko, Ari decided to take her along to the party. As expected, Ari was relieved to see many rich men. I know for sure there will be many stars and investors here. It's your right decision to follow me here. Thank you very much. At this moment, Shoko saw a man whom she hadn't seen for 10 years. She quickly turned around to avoid it. Ari noticed her action. Shoko lied that seeing celebs made her feel tense. Ari mocked at Shoko again, during the party. Ari exchanged card visits and happily talked with rich men. She hoped to win over someone. A middle-aged man approached her. Excuse me, if possible, could you accept my card visit? As he had no reputation, Ari just shammed foolish. Shoko realized that he was a very rich man. She whispered to Ari, he was one of top 100 richest people in our country. Indeed, Ari completely changed her attitude and gave him her card visit. Shoko stared at Ari when she was trying to win his heart. She was up to something. Soon later, Ari received Nato's invitation. She excitedly asked Shoko why she was so kind to her. Shoko replied that she wished Ari to be happy the most, until she got married. No matter what, I will help you because we are friends. Actually, Shoko wanted to destroy everything when Ari was happy the most. Same as the way Ari destroyed Shoko's life, Ari knew nothing. She was touched and gave Shoko her favorite lipstick. Take it. You don't know to make up. I felt embarrassed for you. Thank you very much. It's been a long time since I had a female friend. Interesting. Ari completely trusted Shoko. Shoko wanted more than that. After seeing Ari and Nato off, Shoko returned to her old home alone. Everything in the past seemed like a nightmare that tormented her every time, everywhere. Without much ado, she prepared for the next step. Ari had no clue about that. She was trying to win Nato over. That was their very first date. Yet, he only asked Ari about Shoko. Is she still well? I mean your friend at the party. Ari felt strange but she didn't think much. Maybe he was just curious about Shoko. At their first date, he asked about her thoughts of marriage. Feeling tense, Ari took a few seconds to keep lying as usual. Marriage originates from two independent individuals who want to create a better life. They made a commitment and then pretended to be frank with him. A man like you, whether a female star or a model, can choose freely. It didn't mean he liked her when going on a date with her. Getting married to a normal woman made him feel close, and helped raise his company's value. Nato felt interested in her words. Are you an influencer? Yes, I have something to say. First of all, I think you're misunderstanding. What? Because I love you. Ari was stunned. She never expected this. Nato showed her the gift he prepared in advance. That was a diamond ring. Ari couldn't believe that was true. She showed it off to Shoko. So beautiful. Shoko congratulated on Ari. Ari thanked Shoko for bringing her this luck. The news spread that Nato was going to marry a normal woman. It seemed that Ari became the Cinderella. She thanked Shoko a lot. Shoko tried not to give Ari a sardonic smile. At that very minute, Ari told Shoko her biggest secret. Her ex called off the wedding with her. Shoko thought she knew everything about Ari. She was surprised at Eri's secret. My mother was a bad person. Eri's mother was addicted to gambling. She treated Eri as an ATM and continuously asked her fiancé for money. As a result, his family objected their marriage and he called off the wedding with her. Eri thought her mother destroyed her life. She didn't realize that what she did to Shoko was much more cruel than her mother. I cried for a long time. So I had to become one of the top-notch people. I'll let them see the one who deserves me. Now, I'm very happy. Eri didn't know yet that she would get back what she did 10 years ago. She would pay a heavy price for her ignorance. You'll have the best wedding in the world. Eri was touched by Shoko's wish. A nightmare was waiting ahead of her. I really want to see you. So do I. Everything was in Shoko's plan. During Eri's dream wedding, what would Shoko give Eri to repay the debt 10 years ago? On Eri's wedding day, her skin flick was played. I always think that, I'll give birth to children of a handsome man. If I marry Nato, I won't give birth to his children, as I don't want my children to look ugly. Poor them. Shoko's life was destroyed by Eri. It wasn't easy for her to help Eri marry a rich man. Before the dream wedding for Eri, Nato met up with Shoko. I hope you can tell me about Eri. During the dates with Eri, she could always say what he wanted to hear. It seemed like she had planned it in advance. Thus, Nato could tell someone was behind her. He immediately remembered Shoko, who was always standing next to Eri at the party. If Eri and I get married, what benefits will you get? Nato then gave a blank check to Shoko, telling her to write down any number, as long as she told him Eri's true purpose. Money wasn't what she wanted. Just tell me the things Eri never told me. Shoko said Eri truly loved him, which satisfied his doubts and also made Eri trust her more. To you, am I more important than money? Of course, I only trust you. Grabbing the chance, Shoko asked Eri to live stream her wedding. This would help promote Nation's company and make Eri more famous. Eri liked her idea. She even entrusted Shoko with the wedding invitations. This decision would make Eri regret the most. Talking about her high school days, she also proudly mentioned a friend who was sexually assaulted. Her parents died when she went out to sell her body. It fanned the flames of hatred, but it wasn't the right time for Shoko to revenge. She tried to smile, avoiding to talk about this. The monster inside her was already awakened. She returned to her burnt-down house. Couldn't get Eri's words out of her head. Shoko decided to give Eri a gift. Eri told Nato that her mother had passed away. She spent time searching for her mother's information. Indeed, she found the best weapon to deal with Eri. Hey, Eri, Mom, do I scare you? Shoko knew Eri's feelings for her mother were complicated. Eri hated her own mother. On the other hand, she thirsted for her love. After the fight between Eri and her mother, Shoko approached Yoshi as her best friend. As for Yoshi, Eri was a shameless woman who was always greedy for money. She could do any kind of dirty things for money, even sleep with any men willing to pay her. Really? Yoshi told Shoko about Eri's lover. It was beyond Shoko's expectation. Shoko mentioned Eri's wedding on purpose. Yoshi paid her attention to it. As a gambling addict, she wouldn't miss out on this chance. Shoko didn't forget to give Yoshi the wedding invitation. On Eri's wedding day, Shoko walked into the bride room in a black dress. She was extremely happy when Eri's dream would come true. Because Eri would be dragged to hell at her happiest moment, just like what she did to Shoko 10 years ago. Shoko in a black dress that contrasted Eri's white dress. Eri was immersed herself in happiness. Soon, she would pay a big price for what she did 10 years ago. In the city's largest church, Eri's dream wedding officially began. People of the upper class were attending. Many people were watching her wedding online. While Eri was thanking people, a familiar voice interrupted her. I'm very happy to be here today. Eri's mother suddenly stormed into the assembly hall. Eri was too stunned to speak. She was afraid that this woman would ruin her wedding. At this very moment, Sophie felt so sorry for Eri. After pushing the security guards away, she began her speech. She said she was an irresponsible single mother who giving Eri a hard time. That was why Eri said her mother had passed away. Despite that, she was still proud to be Eri's mother. Finishing her words, she hugged Eri in tears, bringing the atmosphere to a climax. Eri completely felt blissful. She had a devoted friend and a rich husband, plus a mother who loved her. Viewers also wished her the best. Shoko would end it by giving a sign to the staff to play the pre-wedding video. The screen was black all of a sudden, a sound that made everyone in the hall feel hot. That was Eri's skin flick. She was screwed. It was getting hotter and hotter. I've checked it out for you guys. It was truly embarrassing. Nato asked the staff to turn it off. It was too late. Shoko had already prepared backup equipment. She even didn't bother censoring the video. Yoshi suddenly expressed her love for Eri. After Shoko's persuasion, Shoko knew her desire. She told Yoshi that once Eri could become his legal wife, she could enjoy a rich life. Her marriage was screwed. When Nato called off the wedding, Yoshi no longer pretended. She beat Eri with her handbag. A moment ago, she had everything, but then it was screwed up. Couldn't bear it anymore. Eri ran away from the hall. The dark was waiting ahead. Of course Shoko wouldn't let her go easily. Seeing Eri fall from above, Shoko finally smiled in victory, but her revenge plan just begun. She moved on to the next target. The boy lured Shoko into the fitting room, then sexually abused her. People blamed her and her parents lost their lives for this. 10 years later, that bastard wasn't punished. He was living a happy life without any memory of his crime. After Shoko destroyed Eri's life, she went to the club patronized by Takashi. It was only open to the members. She couldn't enter without an invitation. While she was leaving, she bumped into Jean. Shoko was extremely surprised. Jean took her in the club. In fact, he had seen her but he wasn't sure. When she learned that Jean was the owner of the club, she told him the truth and asked for his help. Shoko recounted the things they did to her. It was her who paid a man to act as a rich kid who bought Eri's body and filmed their intimate acts. Then she asked Jean to make her a member. Why, my enemy might come here. However, Jean refused her this time. He also advised her not to ruin her life because of this. Revenge was her drive force to live, yet, it was nothing in his eyes. They had words with each other before she left. An old friend paid injured Eri a visit. You must have felt anguished. Seeing you, I remembered someone whom I couldn't help. I will help you. She kept comforting Eri while stroking her keychain. She was Shoko's best friend, also the only person who advised Shoko to report to the police. Shoko didn't know that her best friend was a police officer, hearing that Takashi was going to throw a party at Jin's club. She went to find Jean again. She asked for a chance to work there and approach her enemy, and Jean refused her again. He just wanted her to start a new life. He even volunteered to sacrifice everything in exchange for Shoko's 10 years of loss. But this wasn't what she wanted. She told Jean that Takashi was the one who sexually abused her following Eri's order. Jean couldn't bear to hear that, but he was afraid Shoko would suffer the same thing. She said she didn't care, because she just wanted revenge and willing to sacrifice everything. Jean saw how determined Shoko was. Thanks to his help, Shoko was made a club servant. Furthermore, she has a new identity, but she has not forgotten it. Do you like your dad, Fujino? Jean easily made Shoko look so different with a layer of makeup. 10 years ago, Shoko was noticed by a famous stylist. Thanks to that, she became a famous person and her classmates harmed her because they were jealous. They even filmed the moment she was sexually abused and posted it online. Shoko's parents also died after this incident. The culprit didn't feel sorry at all. He even forgot his crime. Takashi was living happily with his family. I'm home, Fujino. What do you do? I'm playing around. Don't walk barefoot. Meanwhile, Shoko was living a tough life since her parents' death. She ought to have such a happy life. For her revenge, she researched all the documents about Takashi and learned about a club patronized by him. The club was private. She couldn't join if she wasn't a member. It was an obstacle for her revenge plan. When she thought she would have to find a new plan, she bumped into Jean, who she tried to avoid for 10 years. But what surprised Shoko was not over yet. Jean was the owner of the club. Shoko asked him to give her a job there, yet, he refused after knowing the reason why. He hoped Shoko would bury the hatchet and start a new life instead of exchanging her life for revenge. His thought irritated Shoko. She didn't agree with him, couldn't let go of her hatred. She followed Takashi's wife. Also, she approached his daughter. Yet not found the chance. It seemed that Jin's club had turned into a high mountain that she failed to climb. Shoko had no choice but to contact Jean. She begged him to help her and claimed not to regret even if she fell to hell. Compared to the other's misfortune, Jean wished she could be happier. In fact, he was not wrong. He was underestimating Shoko's determination. You indeed became so weird. You aren't afraid of giving your body to that bastard? I completely lost my mind. Jean wasn't stubborn anymore. When she was about to leave, Jean told her, I won't let you go to hell alone, and I can bear misfortune as long as you're happy, so, please don't disappear again. Shoko finally changed her identity thanks to Jin's help. She changed her name and work as a waitress in his club. The one who sexually abused her would be punished soon. I'm so sorry. I took a false step. I'm fine. Are you new here? I've been here many times, but this the first time I see you. My name is Onihei. Takashi spiked her drink as he wanted her. He smiled when she blacked out. Are you okay? Wake up, Onihei. To take revenge on Takashi, Shoko asked Jean to help her change her identity. She changed her name and successfully attracting Takashi's attention. Takashi was a representative of a food company. He acted as a decent man, yet, he traded drug at a private club. I discovered sleeping pills in his pocket. They seemed to be used to it. Probably, they had traded drug for a long time. If they wanted sleeping pills, they just needed to go to the hospital. If they didn't buy those for themselves, we could tell what they would use those for, to find out Takashi's purpose. Shoko pretended to take a false step and lean onto Takashi, then she put the eavesdropper in his pocket. Thanks to this, she realized that he still maintained his bad habit. He pretended to be a good father and loyal husband. In fact, he didn't care for his wife, neither remembered his daughter's birthday. One day, Takashi's boss asked him to attend a product launch with a subordinate, at a young age. The subordinate became an excellent employee at the company. while Takashi didn't have outstanding achievements. This made him feel very embarrassed. The subordinate had no regard for Takashi. Do it by yourself. I'll go with you if you get a chance to sign the contract. I will be promoted once I earn a large order. Can a father like you do it? Don't be in my way. Takashi went mad when he was humiliated. Shoko heard everything. When Takashi was struggling for the orders, Shoko called him. 300 million. That's right. I want to place an order for my store. Shoko bought the products on behalf of Jean, and let Takashi in charge. This was such a good news for him. His life could change thanks to her order. Those who looked down on him would change their mind. From then on, he fell into Shoko's trap. I'm Takashi who would be in charge of this order. I believe in you. Thanks for placing such a large order. Thank you very much. We will provide the best plan. It was a pleasure working with you. Shoko excused herself to leave, and recommended for a talk somewhere else, which was what Takashi wanted. At the same time, Yuriko, who was in charge of Eri's case, went to see Jean. Do you know her? Who is she? She is Eri, one of Shoko's few friends. Yuriko knew Shoko was related to Eri's accident, so she hoped Jean would tell her about Shoko, but he firmly denied it, because he didn't know what she would do when knowing the truth. Shoko got closer and closer to Takashi. Takashi said he had to marry his wife because she got pregnant. His wife and colleagues always looked down on her. Shoko immediately found a point of departure. Because she wanted to make his dream come true, for this reason, he would completely fallen apart. Seeing Takashi's passionate gaze, Shoko felt embarrassed. Like the hunter disguising as a prey, she pretended to go to the bathroom to make way for Takashi. As expected, Takashi secretly took out sleeping pills from his pocket. He spiked her drink and waited for a good time with her. It was him who would be in danger. What's going on? What happened to us yesterday? You're a married man. Takashi, who was a bastard, accidentally showed his glamour photography during a meeting. Hi, I'm Mina. I'm about to start. Thanks to Jin's help, Shoko changed her identity. When she approached the ringleader who had done, she dropped the fork on purpose. When Takashi bent down to pick it up, she swapped the glasses of water. Takashi did not know anything. He thought he could have a hot night with her. In fact, he was caught in her trap. Shoko took off his clothes, faking an one-night stand between them. Checking on his laptop, she found out that he spiked women's drinks and blackmailed them with those videos. Shoko lost her composure. She recalled it when Takashi sexually abused her. She wondered why his daughter loved him that much. Shoko had in her hands all the evidence of Takashi's crime, but she brought those evidences to Jean instead, and asked Jean to help Takashi reach the peak of his career. Jean felt very confused. He was her enemy. Why do you want to help him? Shoko's answer sent shivers down his spine. The happier he was, the more painful he was when losing everything. A normal revenge couldn't end everything. With Jin's help, Shoko gave Takashi's boss the evidences of his crime that put him in a hole. Jean was their biggest customer. If it provoked Jean to anger, the company would go bankrupt. However, Shoko said she would help them as long as Takashi was in charge of the project. It really worked. Takashi's rival was fired, and Takashi even had the opportunity to be promoted to manager, which made him overjoyed. It was great. Something happier was still waiting. He got married out of plan, so he barely rubbed shoulders with her. After too many fights, their marriage was going to break up. According to Shoko, he realized there was a reason why his wife suddenly got mad at him. She didn't feel safe. Actually, she always loved him. However, he misunderstood her concerns for complaints, feeling sorry for his wife. He immediately returned home, and talked to her with the words that Shoko taught him. He said their marriage was his most appropriate decision in his life. Misato was amazed by that. She couldn't believe that was her husband. Takashi repeated, no matter how much we have fought, it won't change the truth that, it's wonderful to marry you. His wife burst into crying as soon as hearing it. She always thought that he only married her because she got pregnant out of plan. There were many beautiful girls around him, and she was older than him. All of those made her feel insecure about their marriage. She always tried hard as she didn't want him to abandon him, but Takashi never thought that. He was the one who always thought, you must have felt sorrow staying with the one you didn't love. I like it. Finally, Takashi could understand his wife. He hugged his wife tightly, promising to make this family always happy. Actually, it was Shoko who changed his wife's life. Takashi was immersed in happiness, unable to escape. When his daughter opened the door, the whole family hugged each other in bliss. Do you guys make peace with each other? Come here, honey. This happy moment excited Takashi to say his family was his biggest treasure. Shoko heard it all from her bug. This was also the answer she had always been looking for. His happiness was Fujino. Soon later, Jean took his assistant to Takashi's working place. When he was pleased to enter a big contract, Jean asked for Takashi's plan. He naively thought that he had been recognized by Jean. It was actually the trap Shoko set up for him. When the projector was on, the evidences of Takashi's crime were on the screen. He was panicked, but it was too late to stop it. All customers related to the company called to cancel the cooperation. Takashi's life seemed to hit the bottom. When he saw the police coming, he quickly ran away, and he bumped into those whom he didn't want to meet there. His wife brought his daughter there. She brought along the evidences of Takashi, instead of wondering why they came there. He calmed himself down and asked his daughter for a hug, but his wife didn't allow. Yuriko put handcuffs on him. Fujino, Fujino, Fujino. He kept calling his daughter's name while the officers were handcuffing him. Dad. Officer, please him go, take her away. Fujino, Fujino, Dad, say sorry to them, I was fooled. I did nothing wrong, Dad. Misato, Fujino, I was about to stop, why? We were happy together. In the end, Takashi had to pay what he deserved for his crimes. He lost his happiness. However, Shoko's revenge was not over yet, because there was still one last person among the 3 people who had ruined her life. Looking at the photo taken with her best friend, Michiru seemed very scared. 10 years ago, they lured to her a fitting room with a love letter. They filmed it when she was sexually abused and posted the video online. 10 years later, the victim became the schemer of a tragedy. Eri's skin flick was played during her wedding day. She fell off the stairs, which caused her permanent disablement. Takashi was abandoned by his family when they knew he sexually abused and blackmailed women. As a result, he was put in jail. Michiru knew Shoko was coming back for a revenge, just as she guessed. At this time, Shoko began to dig into Michiru. Different from Eri and Takashi, Michiru was a real estate broker. She didn't have a certain goal. Shoko didn't know how to destroy her. Jean stalked Michiru's social networking account. She was single, and she liked handsome guys. Love would be something easy to handle. Shoko begged Jean to let his waiter approach Michiru, make her fall in love like living in a dream. Her best friend, Yuriko, found something wrong. She went to ask Michiru about that. Michiru insisted that she knew nothing about it. After saying goodbye to Yuriko, Michiru paid a visit to disabled Eri. Takashi passed away. A police officer asked me about Shoko. You must be responsible for it. I might be the next target. I just followed your order. She blamed all the mistakes on Eri and Takashi. Blaming the others seemed to ease her feelings of guilt. Then she put the phone she used during high school in Eri's hand. She didn't sense the coming danger. Michiru dropped her phone when a guy bumped into her. Seeing his handsome face, Michiru no longer wanted to curse at him. I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Michiru didn't know what to say. She valued beauty, so even if her phone was broken, she couldn't resist him. After that, he took her to Jin's club. Though Sora worked there, he borrowed her phone instead of asking her to pay for the service. I'll keep this photo as a souvenir. Don't you like it? Not really. You're so confident, you're so cute. I want to take a photo with you. Sora told Michiru that she was the most special girl he had ever met. Making him forget himself as a gigolo, he hospitably poured wine for her. Who could stand it? After returning home, Michiru couldn't take Sora out of her head. She naively thought that she was a special existence in Sora's heart. Even when Sora called, she nervously sat up. Are you home safe? Yep, good. I'm worried as it's kinda late. Can we meet again? Okay, she agreed to meet me again. I finally understand. Why do women like gigolos so much? Who can resist such a warm and sweet guy like this? On the second date, which Michiru waited for, Sora bought a small bouquet of flowers. Like an innocent boy falling in love, Michiru was still a bit wary of his profession. She didn't know why Sora didn't need her to pay, nor ask her for gifts. Sora said he simply wanted to see her again. He felt very relieved staying with her. He was indisposed to do the job. I need money to clear my parents' debt. It was the only job I got when moving to Tokyo. Sorry for telling you this. When I'm with you, I want to pour my heart out. I'm always all ears. Thank you. Sora promised to start it over after clearing the debt. The familiar formula and trick really worked on Michiru. She immediately fell in love with Sora and even held his hand before leaving. Shoko saw everything. She didn't know that something was happening to her. Are you Shoko? Shoko didn't expect to meet Yuriko again in such a situation. Yuriko really wanted to say sorry to Shoko. For the past 10 years, she usually passed Shoko's home. Yuriko said everything would have been different if she tried hard to persuade Shoko to call the police. Seeing Yuriko's keychain, Shoko chose to give up. Because she remembered clearly it was their souvenir, she thanked Yuriko for remembering her. When they exchanged contact, Shoko was amazed by Yuriko's job. What do you do for a living? I am a police officer now. Michiru saw her crush sitting next to the girl she hated for a high-end bottle of wine. The girl she hated even mocked at Michiru. How dare you want to talk with Sora when you can't pay for a bottle of wine? Mind your place. To ruin those who ruined her life, Shoko paid for the most handsome gigolo to conquer Michiru's heart. His job was the barrier. To promote their relationship, Shoko disguised as a rich kid and took Sora away from Michiru. Sora looked at her as if he was asking for help. Michiru fell into a trap. She followed him to the club, where a scheme was waiting for her. Sora is getting the wine. Please wait for a while. Nikki bought a high-end bottle of wine and all the boys gathered around her. Michiru didn't pay attention at first, but she didn't expect that Nikki directly said she wanted a night with Sora. Michiru couldn't stand it any longer. She pushed Shoko away from Sora and said, "You're unashamed." Nikki talked back, "You're just a poor girl," to save her face in front of her crush. Michiru said she would pay for the most expensive bottle of wine. She wasn't afraid even if she might go bankrupt. Sora stopped her. Michiru thought he was protecting Nikki. When she was about to say sorry, unexpectedly, Sora told Nikki he wanted to spend the night with Michiru. Michiru couldn't believe it. Sora didn't want her to spend money for him, when Sora expressed his care for her. Michiru completely fell in love. She let her guard down. Michiru persuaded him to quit his job and live with her. "I'll give you all my savings to pay off your debts and then we can stay together. I don't want you to please any other women." The fish was biting but Sora didn't rush. He gently told Michiru, "I'll stay with you after clearing the debt by myself. Will you be my girlfriend and support me?" Michiru agreed without thinking. She was immersed in love, no way out. To help Sora pay off his debt as soon as possible, Michiru kept spending money on the club, until Sora's colleagues told her that her credit cards were locked. "I don't have cash right now, can I come and pay it tomorrow?" "That's fine." It wasn't enough for Shoko. Still, she asked Sora to thank Michiru, and pretend to feel tired. Michiru noticed his tiredness. Sora said Nikki evaded paying him and ran away. What? It was because he chose Michiru. She took revenge on me as she couldn't accept it. What to do? Michiru felt very sorry. Despite Sora's refusal, Michiru insisted on helping him pay the debt. She fell into the trap again. "Your card ran out of money. Don't tell Sora about this." "I won't tell him. Anyway, I think this can help." He gave Marichu a usurer's card visit. This was for pushing her into the abyss. Within a month, her debt was doubled to 600 million. Michiru was extremely frightened. To pay off her debt, she had to work much harder. She even did a side job. In this day and age, people make money with their intelligence. "Michiru, do you know what you're doing? I only reveal it to my close friends. Is this a multi-level business?" Michiru was embarrassed. Her colleague knew Michiru illegal sold the company's products. Michiru hit bottom. She lost her job. She was too poor to buy food. The debtors kept calling her. Michiru was depressed. A shining and beautiful girl like Michiru was caught for stealing food. "Want to have a bite? This is your first offender, so the owner agreed to forgive you." "I have no money." Yuriko was extremely surprised. She wondered why Michiru was penniless. Michiru burst out crying when she wasn't able to help Sora out. When Michiru was in despair, Sora, who had disappeared for a long time, suddenly appeared. Michiru didn't want him to see her scruffy look. She begged him not to look at her. Yet, Sora didn't care how she looked. "Sorry, I will try harder. Don't leave me. You've risked your life for me. Thanks for helping me pay off the debt. I've resigned." "Michiru, I love you. I'm very happy. This my happiest moment in my life. Let's live together. Pack it up and wait for me at the bar." She replied promptly in the affirmative, and this would be the last gift Shoko gave her. She waited until Michiru felt happy the most and destroyed everything. Michiru happily packed it up and went to the club for Sora. When she called for Sora's name, someone else appeared. Shoko showed herself and it stunned Michiru. Michiru was sure that Shoko destroyed Eri and Takashi. She couldn't believe that the man he loved gave Shoko a hand. Thus, she called Sora. Yet, Shoko picked up the phone. Only now does Michiru understand whether it was a fateful meeting or a promise to live together. Sora didn't fall in love with her. Everything was just Shoko's plan. Michiru couldn't stand it anymore. Shoko had no intention to spare her. "I don't buy into it. Sora sacrificed everything for me. You've lost everything. How do you feel? I'll kill you, right? I've wanted the same for the last 10 years, but I won't let you die easily." The last person who ruined Shoko's life was punished. When Shoko thought everything would come to an end, something else happened. "Get used to your new life, fraud. Goodbye. I'll get rid of you all who destroyed my life." Shoko used Sora to approach Michiru. She made Michiru go bankrupt and ran into a debt. Finally, her revenge was completed, and she thought she would be safe after all. Blinded by hatred, Michiru went to find the mastermind Eri, and asked for the phone with the video of Shoko. She blamed Eri for getting her involved. Eri didn't care for her, until Michiru mentioned Shoko's name. She reacted to it. Shoko had no idea that Eri wasn't disabled at all, therefore, she didn't sense the danger. She went to find Jean and said she would tune herself in. He stopped her. "Don't confess. Disappear until the investigation expires. I will help you. Because I'll be arrested once you tune yourself in. By that time, I'll lose everything." It was just his excuse. He actually wanted her to start a new life and got the past out of her life. Shoko also accepted his offer. After saying goodbye to Jean, she packed it up and departed. Hearing that Eri recovered her senses, Yuriko paid a visit to her and asked if she remembered what happened during her wedding. Eri didn't tell her that Shoko approached her with a new name Azura. She said she didn't remember. That meant she was up to something. I won't forgive those who destroyed my happiness. Yuriko left as she knew she wouldn't find any clue, and she asked Eri the question that she had wondered about for so long. Do you know anyone named Shoko? Eri's eyes immediately filled with hatred. It gave Yuriko the answer about the relationship between Eri and Shoko. Eri still denied and even asked who Shoko was. She was your classmate. What? Is she a criminal? She isn't. I might remember if I can see her. Then she asked to see Shoko's photo. Yuriko had a bad feeling about that, so she just left the hospital instead of giving Eri an answer. Actually, Eri still kept the phone with the adult video of Shoko. This was also the only thing for her to take revenge on Shoko. When did you return to Tokyo? Why did you come back here? Yuriko was suspicious of Shoko. She made it clear though they were friends. The adult video of Eri was exposed at her wedding. Takashi was put in jail. Michiru went bankrupt because of love. All of these people were related to Shoko. You were their schoolmates, right? Furthermore, she once went to the room where Shoko was sexually abused. She discovers that the one who accused Takashi was the boss of the club where Shoko worked. Yuriko could tell the one behind it was Shoko. As Shoko's best friend, she hoped Shoko could tell her frankly, and she went out for a while to give Shoko time to think. Seeing the souvenir she gave Yuriko when they were small, Shoko finally made a decision. You have great imagination. I know nothing at all. She chose to hide the truth by saying that she returned to Tokyo to visit her parents' graves. If she wasn't involved in the scandal, they wouldn't burn themselves. Yuriko posed a question. Do you really think that your parents burnt themselves? Shoko couldn't believe it, otherwise she would not have felt sorrow so far. For all those years, Yuriko had so many questions about the blaze. However, she didn't tell Yuriko about the suspect. After a meeting with Shoko, Yuriko came to the police station and read the documents in the case. She discovered something else. Shoko was actually an adopted child. On the day of judgment determines, Shoko was given the certificate of adoption. Adoption? Am I adopted? It was stipulated in the household registration. Shoko was shocked. She remembered before her parents' death, they wanted to tell her something. She went out to see Jean and missed the chance. To make clear of her identity, Shoko cancelled her plan to move abroad, and she received a mysterious phone call. You finally pick up the phone, Sora, I'm going to see you. Shoko had a sinking feeling and ran to the club in a hurry. It was too late. Michiru was already there, and stabbed the one she once loved. Hey, wake up, Sora, you can't go anywhere. You'll belong to me as promised. Quit your job and stay with me for your whole life. Sora finally passed away in the presence of Jean. Taking his last breath, Sora thanked Jean for always taking care of him. On the run, Michiru was hit by a truck. She lost her life, but it was too late. Sora was gone forever. Shoko, forget everything about the past. Live well in a place where I can't see you. I'll forget you for good, and I wish you happiness. We shouldn't get involved with each other. Shoko understood what he meant, so she decided not to bother him anymore. A greater danger was coming for Shoko. I will not forgive you for the rest of my life. Let me end the revenge. The video that ruined her life 10 years ago was brought back again. Her memories came flooding back. She was in sorrow again. The video got more and more views by the time. Some people even distorted her story. A YouTuber named Ken set many rumors afloat to attract more views. He said Shoko was a sex worker. People talked about her with harsh words. Yuriko, who was Shoko's close friend, noticed the news. She dug into the old case. The more she investigated, a terrifying truth was going to reveal. She went to see Eri. Did you post this video? Is this your voice? She questioned Eri about that year and revealed that she was Shoko's close friend. Some people were evil since they were born. Speaking of what Eri did to Shoko 10 years ago, she was very pleased instead of feeling sorry. Eri admitted to ask her friends to destroy Shoko's life, and she went to Shoko's house to apologize. Don't get involved, Yuriko. Eri's unashamed words shocked Yuriko. She didn't feel sorry for destroying someone's life. Yuriko mentioned the fire at Shoko's home. Did you burn her house? Eri denied it, couldn't remit her anger. Yuriko lashed out at Eri for ruining Shoko's life. Eri asked her back. Do you mean it serves me right? She left me with injury for life. Eri swore that she would exchange her life to get rid of Shoko. She didn't know that her life was about to end. Jean went to find Shoko when her video was brought back. He opened the curtain. The light shone her dark room. Jean told her no matter what people talked about her, she would always be a naive and pure girl in his heart. He left her house before she could give him an answer, and he already made a very unexpected decision, his eyes full of determination, and turned around. Why are you here? Don't you dare to harm Shoko again. If you agree, I won't cause you any trouble. Eri laughed out loud. She wouldn't give up on revenge. By the way, she blamed him for making Shoko popular. Without him, she wouldn't be noticed, we wouldn't have targeted her either. In the end, it was all your fault. Jin was always gentle to everyone. When it came to Shoko, he was extremely tough and decisive. Shoko's video was your last weapon, if you don't want to live in fear for the rest of your life. Leave this city, don't you ever show up in front of Shoko. I didn't do anything wrong, you can't even serve yourself, without help, you can't do anything. What he said made her hit the ceiling. She spoke to Jin with the harshest words. There are a bunch of people who can help me. Shall I buy more men to sexually abuse her again and record more videos? Looking at this crazy woman, Jin finally understood that as long as she was still breathing, then she would definitely ruin Shoko's life again. He finally made a decision. Jin cruelly closed the door and took her life. Shoko's revenge wasn't finished yet. When Yuriko dug deeper into the fire at her home, she discovered something. The YouTuber named Ken was involved. While eavesdropping Yuriko, she suddenly remembered that she bumped into someone on the night of the fire. He was none other than Ken. That also meant she would lengthen her revenge. Seeing the one who took the lives of her parents, Shoko wanted to strange his neck, yet, she stopped as she would give him a more merciless punishment. It was Ken who ended her parents' lives. Shoko put a bug in Yuriko's keychain. Shoko discovered that her parents' death was just an incident, thus, she went to find Jin again. This man was involved in my parents' death. He was a YouTuber hunting for information, no shame for fame. He even distorted the victim's stories. Unexpectedly, Jin knew Ken though he was busy. In order to help Shoko, he asked to see Ken at his club for a cooperation. Long time no see. When was the last time we met? Probably 10 years ago. Long time no see. Ken was envy of Jin. He directly asked about the relationship between Jin and Shoko. If he didn't support Shoko, she wouldn't have been in such a tragedy. Jin gave him an advice. Stop spreading rumors about Shoko. A cunning man like Ken, he couldn't miss this opportunity. He wouldn't give up on it. Without sense of morality, Ken would give Jin and Shoko a hard time. Jin had nothing to say. He asked Ken, "Isn't it true that people watch your video to hear the truth?" Ken interrupted him. "I only share what they want to hear. It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. And he does these things to satisfy people's curiosity." Jin couldn't bear it anymore. "Do you distort their stories just to satisfy people's curiosity?" Ken claimed that was the key of fame. What a jerk. Ken asked if Jin had slept with Shoko. Jin completely lost his composure. He loudly scolded him. "What you're doing could end someone's life." Ken didn't care at all. He considered people's lives a chance to become famous. As for him, it was Shoko who brought reproach upon herself. Ken rubbed Jin up the wrong way. A second later, Jin pulled himself together. He understood one thing. Ken was different from Shoko's friends. Compared to Eri, Takashi, and Michiru, Ken was much more cunning and sinister. Jin asked Shoko not to meet him alone. He didn't expect that Shoko stole Ken's key to his house earlier, to verify her guess. She didn't listen to Jin. While Ken went out, she sneaked into his house to find a clue. While she was finding for an evidence on his laptop, a sound attracted her attention. Ken came home earlier than expected. Shoko had to hide under the bed in such an urgent situation. Ken dropped his phone on the floor. Shoko was extremely frightened when his hand was groping, which sent her heart jumping in her mouth. "Where's my phone?" Fortunately, Ken was too drunk to discover Shoko there. Taking this opportunity, she tried with his laptop again. Her effort indirectly took her down. "I'm at the home of Shoko, the most famous student these days." In the video, he blatantly entered Shoko's house and had a good rummage around. When he came to Shoko's home, Ken dropped the cigarette on her blanket, instead of extinguishing the cigarette. He mocked at her. Thrilling. The hot girl's home is on the fire. Shoko was too angry to utter a word. Finally, she learned that he burnt down her house, causing her parents' death just for gaining more views. The miserable memory appeared in my mind, sinking into total despair. Shoko finally made an extreme decision. While Ken was sleeping soundly, she was about to strange his neck. She did not know that. While digging into the death of Shoko's parents, Yuriko found Shoko's biological parents. Shoko's biological mother was a criminal. At the same time, Shoko also returned to Jin's club. She didn't take Ken's life. Death was such an easy punishment for him. She wanted to send him to hell at his happiest moment. Yuriko and Shoko once were close friends, yet, Shoko was pointing a knife at her. Since when Shoko found the culprit who burnt her parents down, she began her revenge plan. Unexpectedly, he caught a tartar and went on live. Oops, we're screwed. Shoko didn't understand it at first. Ken saw everything she had done at his home through the CCTV. It didn't stop there. He showed everyone his injured neck and accused Shoko of it. She had never touched him. How did he get injured? Jin knew Ken hurt himself to increase his views on YouTube. Jin underestimated Ken. He even recorded the meeting with Jin the other day, edited the video to accuse unjustly of Jin. Shoko's scandal affected my business. Ken said Jin revenged on him since he refused Jin's offer. He also let people see the moment of Jin's anger. Jin and Shoko were turned into bad people. Everyone was blaming them. Shoko didn't know how to handle this cunning bastard. Somehow, he learned about her true identity. He threatened to bring everything about her into the open. "Shoko, are you watching? If you don't want your identity exposed, then come and stop me." Jean found a new hideout for Shoko to stay away from the public and police, but she was determined to go home for a very important item, and she encountered Yuriko there. "Shoko, are you inside? I'll be waiting for you in the coffee shop down there." Shoko was confused when hearing Yuriko's voice. As Yuriko was an officer, Shoko beware of her. However, Shoko still decided to meet her once. When they met again, Yuriko asked Shoko to give her back the keychain, which was her only souvenir. Shoko was stunned. Turns out Yuriko just pretended not to know Shoko's tricks. She let Shoko know everything on purpose. "I need to tell you that the criminal who ended a person's life 25 years ago was your biological mother." Yuriko blamed herself for letting this be divulged. When her good friend broke the law for her, Shoko felt extremely guilty, because Yuriko once said that the keychain was their friendship symbol. That was why she could realize that Shoko had swapped the same keychain. Shoko felt worse hearing so. There was one more person whom she owed a favor, so when Yuriko tried to ask again, Shoko decided to tell her everything. "It was me who wanted to ruin their lives." She told Yuriko if she couldn't punish them with the law, she had to try another way to give them a lesson. Though Yuriko was a cop, she made a decision that surprised Shoko. Yuriko told Shoko that the law didn't decide the stances of the culprit and victim. If Shoko felt being saved when Yuriko kept pretending to know nothing, she was willing to keep pretending. "Take a revenge, it makes you happy." Yuriko became an officer to protect Shoko. Shoko interrupted and pointed a knife at Yuriko. "You let me go as you don't want to be eliminated. Do you understand?" Shoko knew Yuriko dreamed to be a police officer, thus, she didn't want to draw Yuriko down. She hoped if she was arrested one day, it would be Yuriko. Yuriko immediately understood what she meant. She knew it was their last time seeing each other as close friends. As she couldn't save Shoko back then, she wouldn't be in her way. "Goodbye, Shoko." Shoko then returned to find Jean. Jean was stunned when she wanted to date him. This was their first date after 10 years. It might be the last time. Finally, Shoko asked the question she had been wondering about, that why he chose to support an ordinary person like her. After a while of silence, he said, "No matter how ugly a duck is, it has a chance to turn into a swan." He didn't know it would take away Shoko's future. As long as Shoko felt happy, no matter how much he would pay for, even if breaking the law, he would do for her. Shoko balked. She immediately realized that Eri's death was not an accident. It was Jean who helped her get rid of the obstacle, which pushed him to hell. For the first time, Shoko felt regretful. She said she would cover everything with her death when everything ended, and she would take the blame for Eri's death. As for Jean, death wasn't the end. Those who cursed at her online to vent their anger were still living leisurely on their own. Although the law couldn't punish them, they were also accomplices. She must keep a stiff upper lip and make them uncomfortable. It would be the best revenge when she became their nightmare. Perhaps this would make her suffer all her life. But he still wanted her to continue living. Shoko couldn't hold back his emotions anymore. She gave him a hug as an apology. "I don't need anyone to forgive me. No matter how I live, it's okay, but it's only you. I hope you will remember me. I will never forget you." At this time, both of them silently made the most important decision of their lives. He excused himself to leave, getting ready for his half-done business. Between the one who saves and the one who is saved, those who are suffering can rely on each other and warm each other. The revenge was about to come to an end. "I'm waiting for it to get more views." Ken asked to see Shoko at a desert factory. He kept defaming Shoko as a way to get more people to watch and engage with his live stream. "Justice may come late but will never be absent." Shoko appeared behind him again all of a sudden, confident in his strength. He wasn't afraid of her at all. He was very excited about the interaction. "Hope will work well. Let's fight in fair." "No, thanks. I will let you be witnesses to my final revenge." This was definitely the best scene during the series. To punish the culprit who took her parents' life, Shoko kidnapped Ken during his live stream. "Look at me, I'm Shoko. By the way, I have something to tell you guys." She took Ken to an abandoned factory and threatened the police. "If anyone dares to stop this live stream, I'll take his life." Then she began her revenge. 10 years ago, my life was ruined. Takashi took my virginity and spread the malicious rumors. My parents were burnt down, those who pushed me into hell, yet still laugh happily and live blatantly, so I swore to revenge on them. She told them how she carried out her revenge. Only when sending the culprits to hell at their happiest moment was the true revenge. She wanted to punish the one who burnt her parents down as well as give the haters a nightmare. That would be her final revenge. "Do you think you are safe behind the screen? You guys are also involved in this case." She denounced the shamelessness of netizens out of selfishness. They widely shared the video and cursed at her, accusing falsely of her though they didn't know the truth, so they were also complicit. This broadcast was the judgment for those who acted as online heroes. Finishing her words, she stabbed Ken's hair and gave him a chance to beg for mercy. However, he didn't change at all. "I'm so glad you came here. "It's been 10 years since we last met," facing Shoko who would cut his neck at any time. He asked her back without getting panicked. "Aren't you embarrassed when your adult video widely spread?" He spoke as if the victim was the guilty one, and he represented justice. "Even if you do that, I won't bow my head, I will fight for justice." When he kept joking without fear, she showed everyone the video when he put her house in fire. Nevertheless, he was just a little bit scared. "That was my justice. I want everyone to know the truth. The death of your parents was just an accident." He even mocked at her as her biological mother was a criminal. Someone might get revenge on her. Shoko never tried to stop the victim from the revenge, but they was too scared to revenge. Ken couldn't say a word. She faced the camera. "If revenge cannot bring you anything, at least, you should leave a deep wound to your enemies, violent people out there. If you want to continue doing evil, I will destroy you regardless of all." Ken then understood that Shoko idolized herself for a revenge. She turned herself into a seed or a knife plunging people's hearts. He didn't really care as this live stream would bring him pinnacle of fame. He believed he would become a legend. Thinking of the result, he turned very excited. Achieving success was his revenge. He claimed that he sacrificed his life to show his viewers the truth. "Everyone, remember this moment. This was the ultimate party that came only once in his life." Shoko was very curious. "Do you want to die?" "I don't want to, but this is my ideal ending. I won't have a happy ending. Thanks to you, I'll be a legend. You're trying to revenge in vain." Shoko exchanged her life for her revenge, yet, in his eyes, it was just a way to become famous. On the contrary, Shoko would lose her future for it and people would keep playing her down. Shoko was extremely angry. He only cared about fame, even if he was gone. Everyone would remember him as a hero. This was what makes him happiest. He even told viewers to record it. When Shoko pointed the electric drill at him, he was trembling with fear. Suddenly, she turned it off and before he could react to it, Shoko told the truth which wrecked his hope. "I will bring you to the top, then drag you to hell. That's my revenge." Everything actually didn't go as the way he wanted. There was no live stream at all. Passing up the chance, Ken begged her to go live. She burnt him down, like what she said. He deserved to die in the most horrible way. "I'll burn you down like the way you burnt my parents." She threw the lighter on the ground. The fire was spreading, like a fiery snake that immediately swallowed his entire body. His struggling was like a dance to celebrate her successful revenge. He turned into a pile of ashes somewhere no one knew. During her revenge, the most pitiful person was still Gene. "I did everything to give Shoko a new life." Gene tuned himself in to end this endless revenge. Yuriko asked him if revenge really made Shoko happy. Gene claimed that revenge didn't make people happy. Thanks to the will of revenge, Shoko would go forward and find her own happiness. In the end, she would become a symbol which couldn't be deleted or covered, forever living in everyone's expectation, daring to face the dark and expose crimes. The end.